Hello everyone, welcome to another EBAN webinar. We are pleased to welcome today Daniel Tomov from 11 Accelerator based in Bulgaria. And actually the opportunity for this webinar is not innocent, let's say. EBAN has enlarged its membership base in the end of 2013, and we have so far trying to engage more and more with the accelerators community. It's a very thriving market, growing market as well, and we see many startups, successful startups, becoming noted within this community. Daniel will certainly speak with more knowledge of the sector than I do. Before passing the microphone to Daniel, I would like to just briefly introduce you to EBAN, especially for those who are less familiar with the organization. So you are now seeing a brief slide just to outline what EBAN is. EBAN is a not-for-profit organization based in Brussels. We were created in 1999 by a group of business angel networks, and with the direct support of ERADA and the European Commission. Today we grew to 111 members in 39 countries, many of these outside Europe. So that you better understand what do we do in our day-to-day, or who do we serve, let's say. EBAN represents a sector made up of early-stage investors. Some years ago, our scope was more limited to business angel networks. That's the area with which most people associate us with. Still, in the past years, we enlarged our scope to reach out to other early stage investors, namely seed funds, and more recently to business accelerators and a wide diversity of electronic funding platforms. We also naturally welcome other members which have a direct interest in this sector, but who are not investors themselves. That might be the situation of some of you. Before passing on the ball to Daniel, who is in the line here, I would just like to inform you that we will deliver the presentation now, but we will leave some room in the end for some questions. You can write the questions along the presentation. There is a special poll for the questions that you can use, and once we pause for some reflections, we will pick up those questions, and you can even ask them live to our community. If you want to draw any kind of comment as well, please don't hesitate to reach me through the chat. And well, we hope you enjoy this session. Before still passing on the microphone to Daniel, I would like to draw your attention to one of our latest initiatives, not directly from EBAN, but from the community we represent. Well, allow me to switch here my screen to feature the Early Stage Investors Manifesto. Maybe some of you might have heard of. The Early Stage Investors Manifesto is a series of policies and actions that were put together by investors, and which aim is to double the investment in this sector to 15 billion euros, and to create 1.5 million new jobs by 2017. We addressed in this manifesto that we invite you to support. We address 5 different areas, as you can see in the website here. So we have a series of policy recommendations and actions that fall into these 5 main areas, from cutting taxes to startups, to raising more awareness on the need for a more favorable risk culture. There are several players that have a role to play on the changes that we propose here, and we invite you to become one of those players, to share this message and to support and to help us to make this objective an achievement, and that by 2017 we reach the goal of 15 billion euros of investment. You can sign through your usual social media accounts. We have been welcoming people from all across Europe, and we hope you take this step and sign yourself and share this with your community. Daniel, you are live.
Yes.
I can hear you properly. Yes. Well, Daniel, I will pass you now. Well, first of all, I thank you for taking this invitation and for sharing with us a little bit of your story, your personal story, but also the story of the 11 Accelerator, which is located in maybe not one of the most obvious locations. You're in Bulgaria, and you have raised your profile significantly across Europe. Many people know 11 Accelerator, and that is due to the kind of environment that you create around you, that you surround yourself with. And what we will try to focus here today is also is mostly the investment environment that you surround yourself with. So how do you motivate angel investors to follow you and to provide coaching and to become engaged with your activity? And well, the floor is yours. I invite you to take the lead now.
All right. Thank you very much, Luis. I'm online, right?
Yes, you're online. Your presentation is now being featured. Give me a second. Yes, your presentation is here, and I will give you the option to move the slides. Can you try out the slides now, Daniel?
Still not working. Yeah,
That's
it's working.
good.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so good afternoon to everybody in the webinar. Thank you very much, Luis, for giving me this opportunity to share our experience at 11 with early stage investing, but and also most important is how we involve, how we build a community around ourselves, and how we integrate angel investors, which we consider to be a very important part of the life of startups in their early stage. So, so that's why I will start just presenting myself briefly. So I have been involved in the tech industry since 2000. When so it's 14 years I've been involved as an angel investor, as a founder of startups myself, and also as a mentor. In 2000 I have started a small angel fund in Bulgaria, which was with money from angel investors from various places, mainly from the Bulgarian diaspora, where we invested in a number of technology startups. Then I moved to venture capital, one of the leading venture capital players in the region, and then I moved to founding my own startups. As the latest one was in the renewable energy field. And since 2000, end of 2011, I started working on preparing for 11, and we started officially operations with our first investments in the autumn of 2012. So going forward today, I would like to Today I would like to talk about the story of 11, but also why we love angels, why angels love 11, and what's next, what are the lessons that we learned, and what are the insights that we have for early stage investing in Europe. So, starting with 11, we started in, as I said, in the beginning of 2012, and our main. Let me just go to the next slide. Okay. So why we started all of that, and it's an answer to a question that Luis raised. I mean, that actually 11 is growing very fast in a region that is not so obvious, and there is an explanation for that. Bulgaria and also Eastern Europe, because our region is actually Central Eastern Europe with major focus being Southeast of Europe, has been known for many years for its technology talent. And there are a lot of big technology players that are coming in that region and opening their R&D facilities. And here in Bulgaria we have SAP, second largest facility outside of Germany. We have Hewlett-Packard, we have VMware, and a lot of Israeli companies actually come to Bulgaria to open their R&D facilities, but still, it is a region where you see very few startups that are actually starting, and this was true until a few years ago, and the main reason was the lack of capital. So why we started all that, and why 11 is because we know that. There is a huge technology talent in the region, but the biggest problem is what we call the isolation syndrome. All these entrepreneurs are very isolated from their environment. They don't know people that could mentor them. They don't know people that could provide introductions to them. They don't know investors, and it's very much to them to scale globally. So that's why the name 11, which is a metaphor for escape velocity. So this is why we started 11, because we wanted to build an environment, a community, a platform which is open, which is inclusive, not exclusive, where everybody could get in and actually provide support for talented entrepreneurs, especially in the technology field, to start their businesses. So, so this is how we started, and this is the team behind. We have 4 partners at 11. That's me on the right. Next to me is my partner Dylan, and next to him Ivailo. They are both coming from venture capital. They managed before joining 11, they managed 2 of the most active venture capital funds in the region. Their local offices in Bulgaria. So they are one of the few guys in the region that have very intensive investment experience over the last 14 years. And on, sorry, and on the left, it's John Bradford, who is one of the early guys who started accelerators in Europe, and he was very instrumental in actually pushing the idea for accelerators all across Europe and helping different teams to start their accelerators from UK to Moscow. So he became a partner of ours, and currently John is a managing director of Techstars, which is the top accelerator network in the world today. So what is actually Eleven. Eleven is structured as a VC fund with 12 million euro, where the single LP is the European Investment Fund, and this is under the Jeremy program. The interesting thing about this instrument is that, and I think that this is one of the success factors behind, is that it had very broad guidelines for the strategy, and it was born by accident because different stakeholders had different interests. So it was to a great extent followed a model that actually turned out to be very successful in the US. So the 12 million euro are divided in two virtual compartments. One is 8 million euro, which is for acceleration, where we invest up to 50,000 euro. This is how we started. I will explain further on what we changed. And 4 million euro, which goes for follow-up financing. So the investment strategy, our investment strategy is based on the principles of incremental investing. What does it mean is that we start with very small stakes, like 25,000 euro per project for 8% equity. Then during the program that we have here, we actually see who are progressing, and filter out the failures early on, and then we continue putting more money along this process. And this turned out to be a very successful model. So in essence, we operate as Accelerator, where we have a 3-month program. We very much follow the model of Techstars. This is an accelerator that started 7-8 years ago. And by the way, it started out of the frustration of a few angels, which are currently very famous angel investors, Brock Felt and David Cohen. So they decided to set up this accelerator program in order to help a bigger number of startups with small amount of money. So the way we operate is that we run a 3-month accelerator program. We do this 3 times per year. We start with an application window which stays open for about a month. We market to founders all across Central Eastern Europe, and we have a very well established networks in all these countries with scouts and friends and partners. So we usually get about 350 applications in each application window. Then we filter out these applications, and we have a first selection of 50. Then we interview these 50 companies to learn more about their business models, their teams. And then we select 20-25 companies that we invite to a selection days, which we held for 2 days, where usually during the first day the teams actually collaborate with mentors that we have here, and also founders from previous batches. And on the second day we have pitches by the teams, a 15-minute pitch, and it's actually a 5-minute pitch with a Q&A session afterwards. And at the end of in front of extended investment panel that we have at Eleven, composed of serial entrepreneurs and investors, and ourselves as the core team. And at the end of the day, we select the 10-12 startups that we invest in. And then all these startups move to Sofia from all their places they are, and they start a program which is very mentorship intensive. And what does it mean is that we have probably by now more than 300 mentors that actually work with the teams on different aspects of their businesses, like on the product side, product development side, on go-to-market strategy, on scaling, on customer acquisition. So very different aspects on how to pitch in front of investors and all of that. And all these mentors, initially they came from our personal networks, and these were people mainly serial entrepreneurs from the technology field or from other fields, as well as senior executives from corporations or investors from angel investors or investors from VC funds. This is the core of the program, and it turned out to be extremely positive for the startups. The other things that we provide during the program is that we provide a lot of workshops in various aspects of the business, but the main purpose of all these initiatives that happen during the program is in order to design a good product, to build it well, and to be possible to sell it to your customers and your future investors. Because in most of the cases, these startups need additional financing to scale up. Also, what we provide in Eleven is networks of various nature, like networks to angel investors, to the VC community, but also the different partnerships that might be very useful to the startups. And we have partners like Google, like Microsoft. Half a year ago, we became the first independent accelerator affiliate with Microsoft Ventures. We are partners with Amazon Web Services, Software, a number of technology companies that are local and that are global players like Telerik. And also we are part of the Global Accelerator Network, which provides additional resources for all the startups, like additional perks from technology companies. And recently I've looked at the numbers, it's almost close to $900,000. And a very important part of the whole acceleration program is that actually all of the teams are under one roof. So as you could see, let me just see, go forward. So this is where we are situated. So you could see how it looked like. It's a building which is in downtown Sofia. It's the headquarters of the former telecom operator, which was the incumbent operator in Bulgaria. And so this is a huge co-working space that we managed to renovate within a month and a half, where all the startups are situated. Because a very important part of going back to the problem that we addressed, the acceleration syndrome, is that there are very few places where actually founders could collaborate with other peers or work together. So this is a place, and that's why this is a very essential part of the whole model, where the collaboration among peers. Because what happens is that because we have very diverse pool of founders, we have very young kids, like we invest in a 16-year-old kid that is now with Y Combinator in the US, and up to founders that are very experienced at the age of 45, 50. So actually the collaboration is as important as working with mentors or investors. So going forward, this is like what Eleven has accomplished. Just a number of figures within the last 18 months. So we have reviewed more than 2,000 projects that came mainly from Central Eastern Europe. We invested in 70 startups. As a ratio is almost 50-50, 50% coming from Bulgaria and 50% coming from the region. We have startups from Romania, from Serbia, from Croatia, from Montenegro, from Turkey, from Latvia. We had an Italian team coming from Berlin. We have cross-national teams like Russians, South Americans, English guys, Armenian teams. So it's all very diverse, which is very helpful for all the founders and their follow-up networks. There were more than, so these 70 startups Actually, we invested in them through 6 batches so far, and we currently are running the application window for the 7th batch. As the focus, we are very agnostic in terms of technology, but what we learn is that we are best at things like software as a service, mainly in the B2B field, because traditionally this region was very good in building technologies for enterprises. Of course, we have our wins in consumer internet, like as I mentioned, the 16-year-old guy that we invested. He's building a new mobile email app under the supervision of Paul Buchheit, which is the co-founder, which is the founder of Gmail, at Y Combinator, which is one of the best places for building consumer internet products in the world today. And also, we are very good at hardware. We have probably 20% of the portfolio in hardware, mainly we call them Internet of Everything. So these are connected devices like smart homes or smart cities or smart cars. One of the interesting recent examples is we invested in one of the best engineering teams that have a cutting-edge technology into drones. So all of the 70 startups means more than 200 founders, which is an incredible network, which starts delivering in a fantastic way because actually founders help each other. And this is a very healthy network that they start to utilize. And what we see more and more with our investments that are coming, that mainly they are coming from references, either from the mentors or from the founders. And for the last 6 months, we've seen a number of angel investors that are coming, and I'll touch this a little bit later. They're coming to us with leads for projects to invest together. So far we have invested 4.5 million euro in all these 70 startups, as angel investors co-invested more than 2 million euros so far. So, so this is in a nutshell about Eleven. As you probably mentioned in the beginning, we always say that communities are our edge, and we strongly believe that actually in order to build a successful accelerator, it's all about the community. So if you have a strong community, then you could have you could be a very good early stage investor. So now jumping on why we love angels. What we learned over these 2 years is that we share the same passion with angel investors. So if you look along the investment curve of like early stage investment like accelerators and angel investors, which are more or less at the same level, then you go to VC, private equity, and henceforth, you see that actually the one that have the biggest passion for founders and are most founder friendly are actually the accelerators and the angel investors. And what we see is that they're also the best mentors that we've seen. Why? Because most of these people are experienced entrepreneurs or experienced executives that know a lot about business, that been in very difficult situations themselves, and that are really helping, that are really willing to help out without asking asking anything in return. And in most of the cases, they have such an emotional connection with startups, which later on goes into investment. So this is extremely unparalleled, the emotional connection that angel investors have with the startups. So the other thing that we've seen is that most of these angel investors, they are coming from they have a very deep domain expertise in particular field, which is much bigger than VCs, for example. So they're really very helpful to startups. Another very important thing is that angel investors are very open to give introductions to startups, to whether it's for a client or for a partner, and especially when they build an emotional connection, they usually transfer their reputation to the startup, which is incredible, because being a small company is very difficult to work with big corporations. Because once you have a established professional from a certain domain, it works very beneficially for the startup. Just a brief example with one of our promising startup, VetCloud. Initially, they had a veterinary practitioner from California who is 40 years in the business with great reputation. He invested with us together in the first round of VetCloud, and he was very helpful in making intros and also building the reputation for the product of VetCloud. Other very important things is that, as I mentioned, angel investors have a very huge networks among themselves, or actually they go in groups, and their networks are much bigger, if you think about, than individual VCs. So in that regard, they are very helpful and very dedicated to the startups. And of course, they invest money compared to other mentors, which is very good for the startups. And these are long-term money. These are smart money, which is very important for the whole journey of the founders. So how we engage them, as I mentioned, this is just some photos you could see. We engage them through mentoring sessions, which we held 3 times during the program, in the very beginning, towards in the middle of the program, but also we engage angel investors in shark tanks. So we improvise internal shark tanks with each batch, where we invite different angels. So it's also a kind of a sneak preview of the startups, but also they could also for the angel it's good that they could follow up the progress of the startup and see what is the rate of advancement and successful execution of the different teams. And also, of course, we invite all the angels at the end of the program, when we have a demo day where all the startups launch their products and they present what they have accomplished over 3 months. And this is a time where actually they start their discussions, serious discussions with angels for getting them on board for next rounds. So, so this is I just said what is it in for us with working with angel investors. But the interesting thing is what it is for the angels to work or be around 11. So it's very interesting that what we learned is that actually one of the interesting things for angels is that this is a very good way for them to source startups, to source their investments, and it's a very cheap way to do so. Because we so far have invested in 70 startups, and this is a very good pipeline to look at. And so for most of the angels, this also free due diligence, because they could follow the progress of the startups. They could feel the team, what is the dynamics in the team, how they could even place different challenges to the teams and see how they respond to these challenges, so that they could test they could make a controlled test with the team how strong the team is. And of course they could always follow their progress. So in terms of the other thing that is very important for that we learned for the angels is that for the acceleration program, because usually what happens is that some of the angels invest on our second step, and other angels invest on the 3rd step where we put money in startups, is that actually we eliminate risk for them. So they see what is working, what is not working in these 3 months while in the program, and then they decide later on at which stage it's good to for them to they feel comfortable to join in. So some of the angels, we have more and more cases where angels would like to jump in the very beginning, but to be fair for both founders and angels, we prefer that no dues happen actually during the acceleration program. And another very important thing is that angels do appreciate our continuous involvement and our hands-on approach, and actually they view as Eleven as a super angel that put a lot of resources in one place for the benefit of the founders, that actually put a very solid base for these businesses to grow up. So and I left for the last point is that actually we've seen something very interesting, is that cross-border investments are quite common with us. We have in many startups we have angels that are from different countries, and they do invest in the startups because of us. And we see that actually we are becoming, and we became actually a very trusted and active partner for all these angels. They could rely on, and they feel very happy investing along with us. And another very important thing is that we treat angels very fairly, in the way that we always invest together with them at the same valuation. We give them we insist that angels have the same rights in the company together with us, and we pool our interests and the interests with the angel investors in the investment pool with the same rights, and this is actually something that angels very much appreciate. So so going forward, what's next? What are the insights that we got for these 2 years? Is that the formula for working together with accelerators and angels is engage. Like engage is first engage is getting informed and participating in the program and get to know the startups. Second engage is through the format of mentor, and the third engagement with the first degree of trust that we see is when angels invest in the startups. And what we've learned is that actually we see more and more different networks getting together and investing in startups, and this is happening through the accelerator. So the accelerator is becoming like a center of trust that actually connects different networks. That's why cross-border investing is possible, because today we have a lot of technology and we have the efficiency in investing because of this technology, but the trust was always a question mark. And I think that today and in the future, accelerators will be the platforms that provide this trust among different angel networks. So what I see as the future is that angel accelerators, because there are more and more accelerators coming on board, but many of them actually disappear, and this is because they have they do provide only a small amount of financing to the startups, and then they don't have any ability for follow-up financing, and it's difficult for the startups to get traction with their customers and investors. So really the future of early stage investing will be this so-called super angel funds, which will be in a way a very close collaboration between accelerators, large accelerators, and angel networks. And something that I mentioned, but I would like to leave with that, is that everybody is talking about the funding gap, and I think that the funding gap in Europe as such, it should be filled with the help of with the angels, and the angels networks were not exploited, but were actually not actively integrated in the early stage investing. And it's not the VCs, the VCs, because the VCs come quite later on, and actually this is the angel networks that not only could fill in this funding gap, but actually they could build on the support infrastructure that is required for any startup to continue and thrive as a good business. Because it starts with the accelerator, but later on the support infrastructure could be fortified with the angels network. So I'll be very much to hear your insights or answer your questions. So thank you very much for listening. Let's talk now. Luis?
Sorry, I had my microphone muted, and it's no longer. Well, I just sent a reminder for everyone if they had questions to ask, so maybe in the next minutes we will have some arriving. And actually we have one already from Andreas Kuparis. Andreas, I will give you the microphone in case you can speak. Andreas, can you speak? Do you have the microphone for that?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
You can ask your question live, huh?
Okay, well, I'll read it off the text what I wrote. Thank you very much, Daniel and Luis, for this excellent presentation. My question is actually regarding the operations of Eleven as an accelerator. I'm sure you have costs running. Are these costs funded by the 8 million euro acceleration part of the fund? Is that how you fund the operations?
Okay, so actually we, as I said, we are structured as a VC fund, so we have a 3% management fee over the 12 million euro, which covers the whole operation, including the cost of the fund. But what we realized is that actually the problem with why accelerators are disappearing or struggling in Europe is that they're actually quite underfunded, because actually the operational expenses in this early stage phase, because of the hands-on approach, are much larger, and it should be much more than what is currently happening in Europe. So just to give you an example, an acceleration program run by top accelerators in the US, for example, it's $2 million, let's say, dollars, out of which $250,000 go for investing in 10 startups, and the rest is for operational expenses. Just to give you the mechanism.
Yes. Okay, so I mean the rest of the money comes from, it doesn't come from the 3%. Do you have any other sources that fund the operations in Eleven, like sponsors or something similar?
Sponsors, no. We tried. It's very difficult and very distracting because it's really very intensive what we do. And we might enjoy actually a grant money that we applied that could help us with the operations. But otherwise, these are the only expenses that we have, only budget that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Andres. Well, we have a quite straightforward question from Alexander Bergfeld, which was in line with something that I had to ask exactly. Alexander asked, what is the survival rate of your accelerated startups? And I would like to complete this by asking, which are the greatest reasons for the companies not to survive to your acceleration process?
Okay, so just to tell you about the survival rate. So what we expect is that as of today, 30% are already disappeared or about to do so in the foreseeable future. 30% are doing extremely well beyond expectations, and 30% are in this area that you don't know. It's too early to say whether they will go up or they will go down. And this is actually what you could see in other accelerators in the US as well. So that's why it's important to have a large portfolio so that you could have this 30% winners. So what are the, when we invest, because we invest in pre-product companies, what we bet mainly is on the teams. And of course on their execution. Of course we look at the ideas, but the most important element at this stage is the team and the way they execute. So one of the reasons why they don't survive or they get out of business is because they don't have customers. Why they don't have customers is because they don't understand. They have an idea, but they usually don't understand good enough the needs and the problems of the clients, and they cannot position themselves, their product, in such a way so that they could gain customers. So this is the biggest problem. And we realized this early on. That's why we established a design thinking lab with 11 along the example of Google Ventures. This is the other investment vehicle that has an in-house design thinking lab. And actually this improved significantly the results with the startups, because they spent a lot of time during these 3 months in order to understand the consumer needs and design their products around the consumer needs and the consumer behavior, and then to scale it up.
Okay. Well, while you were answering, Alexander actually completed his question. You're now online, Alexander. Can you extend a little bit the question as you were asking here on the question board?
Yes, thank you very much.
Can you speak a bit louder? It's very low.
Yes, just give me 1 second. Can you hear me now?
Oh, better.
Yes, perfect.
Okay, perfect. First off, Daniel, thank you very much for the very interesting presentation, and thank you for answering my first question too. I just wanted to ask you now, what are actually the key metrics you're using to identify the best performance of your acceleration process? Because as you just explained, that you're focusing very much on the customer, or on the end customer or client. I work with myself as an interim director for one global accelerator, and I found out that a customer-centric approach is very helpful, even though you have to also look at other factors in order to successfully accelerate startups. So I just wanted to get your opinion on what exactly you are looking for in a startup, apart from the customer service or customer-centric approach, in order to make it successful.
I mean, if it's about the performance of the startups, whether they perform well or bad, is this your question, or what we look?
Yeah. This is part of my question. Yeah, how you actually identify if they're actually performing well in your acceleration, or if they're just because what I saw when I worked, for example, in Prague with a few startups, was that quite a few of them saw the acceleration process more or less like a holiday camp, and it took the acceleration team quite some extensive work to make sure that these kids or these young entrepreneurs understand that this is not a holiday camp but an acceleration process, right? So I would like to know from you how you identify the good performers and eliminate the bad performers.
Okay, so I mean, it's also it starts with the selection process. So we try to identify. That's why we spend time with the teams before we decide to invest in them, because that's why we rely very much on references, because we would like to see teams that are really motivated, that are hungry for success, that have the dedication, the perseverance, and of course the talent mix in the team in order to make things happen. At least this is the major, the minimum requirement things that you should have there. So this starts from the selection. Of course we make mistakes, because you have to spend more time with the teams. The most, I mean, in order not to be a holiday camp, is the peer pressure. If you have the peer pressure is an incredible motivation factor. The other thing is that another motivating factor is the burn rate. When the money ends, usually people either go bankrupt or they decide to do something serious. But in terms of how we measure whether startups are successful at this early stage, there are only two things, and this is either you, and it's not about vanity metrics and all that, but it's either you're having traction with customers, which for us is the most important thing, because this is who brings revenues in the business, and this is why you exist in the first place, to answer somebody's, to solve somebody's problem or need. So this is one thing. Or the second thing is to attract other investors. In most of the cases, in all our cases, it's angel investors, because they are startups that need more development time, especially in the enterprise domain. And if you attract angel investors that are from this domain and that do understand the domain, and they validate that you are building something great, this is the second parameter that you know that these startups are doing well. So at this early stage, everything else it doesn't, in my view.
Okay. Okay. That actually just generated one more question from my side, because you mentioned the selection process being a key issue, ensuring the quality of the performance. Because currently, I mean, we all see a bubble, more or less, arising of more and more accelerators actually entering the market, competing for the best ideas. Yes. Don't you think that this bubble will actually form a massive wake-up for all the accelerators worldwide, because there are not as many good ideas or chances in the market as we have accelerators at the moment, in my point of view?
I mean, you're right that there are more and more money that are coming into the market for acceleration or early stage investing. But what we see is that actually the teams that we see more are becoming more and more mature, much more experienced, and we see serial entrepreneurs. We recently funded entrepreneur from 500 startups who just came back from the States and said, okay, I would like to live here. And we see more and more foreign teams coming to Bulgaria, probably because of the startup ecosystem which is built around it, which is the result of the efforts of many people. And the other thing that helps us in a way, and I think this model, that's why I said that this model is born out of accident, is becoming now quite trendy with the European Investment Fund and even with the European Commission, is that we have the ability to follow our best companies. Because what happens with most of the acceleration programs is that they do provide 20 or up to 30 or whatever thousand euro, but later on they can provide more money. And what happens is that you need 6 to 9 months, even in enterprise cases, you need 12 months in order to build a good product. So 3 months of acceleration is not enough.
Okay.
And actually,
so follow-up funding.
Yeah, follow-up funding. And actually our new deal, which we experimented with the last batch, and we have it now as a standard deal, is 25,000 euro for 8% equity plus 75,000 euro of convertible note, in order not to dilute the founders from the very beginning. And actually, if you see what YC and Techstars and 500s are doing, they're moving just along the same route. You just need more money in the early stage.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alexander. We have here also Tommy Pajarinen making a very straightforward question. Do you have a minimum investment requirement for business angels?
No.
No.
We actually, I just want to just add a sentence. We actually push, encourage startups to invite as many business angels as possible. So not to leave anybody out of a round. Why? Because the more angel investors you have, the more networks you add to your business, and the more support infrastructure you build around your business. So you increase the chances of success of your business. So we encourage, irregardless of the amount of money, because we know of great angels that currently have liquidity problems, and but later on they put more money into the business. So this is my answer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that brings me to another question. You said that you were working only with business angels, but in the beginning you also referred that you work with Microsoft Ventures, right? And I would like to know what has been the relationship with the VCs and early stage funds and corporate investors. Do they have you attracted their attention? Have they invested in some of the business already?
Corporate investors, no. I mean, there are very few corporate investors in the region that have corporate VCs. Actually, we had the chance to make a joint deal with Brown and Weira, which are the corporate VCs or corporate funded programs of Deutsche Telekom and Telefonica, but it was complicated, so we didn't make it. In terms of VC, the startups are still not at the stage of VC funds. So probably later in the year or beginning of next year, we might see some of the startups attracting Series A funds. But even in that case, we always encourage startups to have an allocation for angels.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my answer.
Okay, Kishore Karani is asking, how much was the investment of the 11 partners till they won the 12 million euros from Jeremy? Yeah.
Usually it's few percent.
Few
It's
percent.
it's single-digit percent.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that brings me to another question. If anyone else would like to start an accelerator today with the same kind of resources that you put forward, is the Jeremy program still available for them?
The Jeremy program is available in each European country, member country.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the thing is that it's designed in a different way in each country. So I know a number of Jeremy programs that do not provide for accelerators. So it's very individual. So usually you can't, if you want to make accelerator in Portugal, for example, you can't take money from the Jeremy program in Bulgaria, for example. So it's very individual. But what I hear from European Investment Fund is that they're planning to replicate the 11 model all across different countries because they see the impact that it makes on the ecosystem and the early stage investing environment.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very interesting. Well, we're going to the last couple of minutes. Do you have any final remarks you would like to share?
I just want to share that actually the European Business Angel Network is one of these networks that actually could bring and actually could help integrate more angel investors with accelerators. And actually we started this with a number of colleagues at the European at the annual Congress in Dublin. And even what we discussed, and if anybody is interested in that initiative, he could drop me a line, is that we are planning for October to make like a European founder demo day trip, where curated teams, portfolio of teams from different accelerators could go around different angel networks, different places like we discussed with UK, we discussed with Dublin, we discussed with Spain, with Portugal, with Finland, with Germany. So whoever's interested could drop me a line.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a way to integrate more angel investors and accelerators.
Indeed, indeed. Oh, thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much. It was very interesting.
Thank you.
I hope the audience also took their wordings from the session. The recording will be made available through EBAN, through our YouTube channel. And well, if you want to contact Daniel afterwards, you can reach us at EBAN or email Daniel directly. Well, thank you, Daniel. Thank you all for being there, and see you in our next webinar. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.